Hello, everybody. Welcome to the quiet side of Florida. This is Real Estate Matters, the voice of real estate in Flagler County and Palm Coast for over 11 years. I'm Toby Tobin. I'm the publisher of GoToby.com. I'm a Florida licensed realtor with Grand Living Realty, and I'm joined by co-host Anna Maria Long today in the studio. She's from the Flagler Home Builders Association.
Hi, Toby. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Good afternoon. I say good afternoon because this is a pre-recorded show. We don't take call-ins. Well, you can try. If you want to try, you can. But we're recording a day early. It's Wednesday afternoon here in the city of Bunnell. So the numbers are as of Wednesday afternoon. They're not as of Saturday morning. We're going to say hello to our lead sponsor, Veranda Bay. That's a private community on John Anderson Boulevard with a Flagler Beach address, soon to be part of Flagler Beach. It's a mile of intercoastal waterway frontage with beautiful homes, $1 million plus homes, many of them, by Olson Homes, AR Homes by Arthur Ruttenberg, ICI Homes, Holbert Homes, Dreamfinders, and Toll Brothers. And they're going to be very prominent in that community at the upcoming Parade of Homes.
Yes. Holbert Homes is our showcase home. They have the Bay Breeze. It's our showcase, and they will be featured in the Parade of Homes. That home is located in Veranda Bay. Additionally, Olson and ICI models are both in the parade, as well as Toll Brothers and Dreamfinders will all be there. And Arthur Ruttenberg has a virtual entry. So you can visit the Parade of Homes April 11th through 19th, and you can get more information at flaglerparadeofhomes.com. But you can go to verandabay.com for more information on Veranda Bay itself and the model homes that are already there now.
And we thank the Flagler Home Builders Association, which also sponsors this show, and Hammock Community Church. That's where you can find me every Sunday morning at the 11 o'clock service. It's the little church in the woods on the east side of A1A, mile and a half north of the toll bridge. Small enough to know you, but large enough to serve you. So, and you can go over the toll bridge. It's worth the extra change to get over the toll bridge. I have to go over the bridge myself. I don't live on that side, but love to see there. There's a 9 o'clock service for people who like to get their churchy work out of the way early so they can play golf the rest of the day.
One could say the change could change you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I got jokes too.
Yeah. I'm glad to hear that. So we don't have any guests today, but we're going to talk about some mid-March statistics. They can lead us sometimes down the wrong path because we're only halfway there. And halfway there...
Living on a prayer.
Well, pardon?
And living on a prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the business is at the end of the month anyway. So,
yeah.
So where are we so far? And this is as of today, which is the 18th. 122 single-family homes sold through MLS, Flagler MLS, with a median price surprisingly still holding up at $407,500. That's really a surprise because we've been running in the 365 range for about a year and a half.
Yeah, it's a significant jump. It'll be interesting to see how this holds.
Yeah. Well, we've had a couple of other months where we start out the first half of the month will be over 400, but at the end of the month, we tend to get a lot of production builders, the national builders.
And those will drop down that price.
They try to close as much business as they can. As they get to the end of the month, they get more and more anxious. And
incentivized.
And that tends to bring the median price down a little bit. But days on market so far this month, 47. Last March, there were 247 single-family homes sold. The median price was $356,900, and days on market was 62. So we've seen it over the last few months. The days on market has been year over year less than it was a year ago. And prices have been holding steady. So you hear doom and gloom when you talk to people about the market. And I'm talking about people who are in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Realtors are telling me, oh, it's really slow, it's really slow. But the numbers just don't show that. 5 homes have sold so far this month for 250,000 or less. Only one was for cash, and that's a little shift from the recent history where most of the low end of the market has been cash, which would tend to indicate investors are active. And so either investors are less active or they're switching their financing. But I think that investors are there's a certain amount of skittishness in the market, to be sure. And when we look at the numbers sound solid, but yet they could probably be better.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they're solid because, as we said in the past, the number of buyers and the number of sellers is relatively equal
Right.
or balanced. So that keeps the price generally the same. If you had too many buyers, you'd run the price up. If you have too many sellers, you'd run the price down. But there aren't that many buyers or sellers. So the pool of
Keeps it
buyers and
equal.
sellers is reduced, and primarily because of market uncertainty, interest rate uncertainty, and global geopolitics
Mm-hmm.
right now in
People aren't
particular.
sure where they should put their money.
But there are some rich people that aren't having any trouble putting their money someplace.
Per usual.
9 homes have closed so far already in March for $1 million or more. That's in the Flagler MLS market again. Days on market for the $1 million plus homes is only 30, and that's, remember, compared to 47 for the overall market. And of the $9 million plus homes that have sold, 7 of them were cash sales. So again, there are people coming typically from out of town,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's the Northeast or the West Coast or South or Western Florida, moving here. They're coming in with lots of cash, and they're deciding quickly and closing soon. Of course, cash sales tend to close faster
Of
because
course.
you
You
don't
don't
have
have
to.
to go through all the processes
Mhm.
that the lenders have for very good reason, mind you.
But looking at the broader high end of the market, 16 of the top 25 sales were cash.
Cash is still king.
That's impressive. As of about noon today, 1,191 homes were listed with MLS, and that's compared to over 1,300 at this time last year. The days on market for the listed homes is standing at 69. 373 homes are in the pending file versus 293 a year ago, so that's up substantially.
Oh, yeah.
So the listings are down, the pendings are up. Those are both strong signs. The median list price for the pending category is 382,000, and I checked back, and we've been in the 180s range for the pending list for all but one of the last 15 or 16 months. So that's prices are not expected, based on that as a guideline, are not expected to change substantially in the short term.
In the
Because
180s or 380s?
did I say 180s? Okay, I meant to say 380s.
Okay. I was like, wait, what?
Folks,
I'm going to go buy a house.
that's why I have a co-host.
I'm just here to keep things on track.
Good for you. Well, thanks. So, what are the takeaways? I didn't even change the takeaways on the list from last week. We noticed a decline in the $1 million plus market last month, but the $250,000 market is has had surged, but now is dipping. So it's just uncertain. We're getting a lot of mixed messages, but I think the fact that the $1 million market now seems to be outpacing the lower end of the market is significant. But I don't think it's because prices generally are going up. I think it's just we're selling more homes at the higher end and fewer homes at the lower end, and that alone will raise the median price
Right.
without raising the actual selling prices. That doesn't mean your home's gone up
In value.
in value.
Mhm. Yeah, because this doesn't even capture the straight contracted homes that close. These are only the homes that actually go through the listing service, the multiple listing service,
Right,
and go for sale.
and a lot of the new construction homes, particularly the custom homes, do not go through MLS.
Right. So even when we're talking about these numbers and these sales, there's actually more, and typically at a higher
Yeah,
price point.
if we were able to capture all sales, the median price would likely be higher than the MLS reported price. So,
but it would be inflated by those higher end homes. It would be correct, but it would be not reflective necessarily of our total market.
well, median price. I mean, it's the best number we've got.
Yeah.
But it's not a good number, particularly in our local market, because in so many ways we have a bifurcated market.
Yep.
And we've got the market on the island side, and then the market that's not on the island side.
It's like, cool, we've got all these $1 million homes for sale, and then that actually sell, and then it says, then on the other side we're saying, can our teachers and our first responders afford to live here?
Yeah, well, that's just an ongoing.
It's everywhere.
We have a populace that doesn't want their 20-year-old self to live next door to them, and I can see that, but more than that, they don't want that person to live in town anywhere.
No, they don't want them anywhere. And they're being more and more vocal about it, which is my favorite, because I love when people tell me who they are.
Well, I would like people to look in the mirror and recognize that they don't look like they did 20 years ago either. And they don't want to live next to their 20-year-old self. But they still want their pizza delivered on time. They want their kids educated. They want the ambulance to arrive on time. But they want all of those people to live in Putnam County.
Yeah, and expect them to drive here, being paid $10 an hour, $12 an hour.
So let's take a quick break. Don't go away, folks. We'll be right back. Well, welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. This is the second half of Real Estate Matters. Thanks again to verandabay.com. That's where you want to go to find out about Veranda Bay. They're our lead sponsor, beautiful community on the Intercoastal Waterway. We were talking leading into discussion about affordable housing, and that's really our main topic this week. And
hold on. Does Mark need to bleep those words? Those are such bad words. Affordable housing. Are you going to say Section 8 next? Mark, get the bleeper button ready. Sorry. Housing that costs less than 30% of your income is the definition of affordable housing.
And
you may proceed.
And it's not an F word.
It is not.
Although you could misspell it that way. It's people take as soon as you say affordable housing, they take a left turn immediately into Section 8.
Yeah, we just raised several people's blood pressure. So just want to calm them down.
Why don't you say complex? That's another word that...
Oh, the complexes. Or a housing project.
Housing or project,
no matter what I'm talking about. Just a project of housing. Any type of project.
Project's a bad word. That's another F word. So anyway, how tough is it going to be to reduce the cost of housing? I wrote an article years ago about affordability and panning particularly the city of Palm Coast for not standing up to their own comprehensive plan, which the housing element says that a healthy city, basically I'm paraphrasing, but a healthy city has housing for all levels of the socioeconomic ladder.
Correct.
and we don't. And a lot of it is because of our local attitudes, which are reflected in how our local ordinances are written, architectural guidelines are written. So that's going to be
Yeah, I mean, they call it that it's a community survey, and then sometimes our officials will say that they're representing the voice of the people, but they're not hearing the voice of all the people, like the people who actually need it. They're only hearing the people who get up there and talk.
They're not reading their own comprehensive plan. I mean, that's
Most importantly.
That's basically the mission statement of government, and they don't do that. But anyway, in my article, I've finished it by saying that, again, paraphrasing, that if we don't do something locally, we're going to end up being told what to do by Tallahassee and Washington, and lo and behold, what's happening?
That's exactly what's happening. Live Local Act.
That's a perfect.
I know. Every time an elected official says that they've had all of their rights to legislate locally taken away by the government, I just say, well, if you did it right, then you wouldn't have had your rights taken away. You're kind of in timeout. By like Daddy DeSantis, he said, well, sorry, if you can't do it, then we're going to do it for you.
It's called preemption.
Yes.
And it started, we started noticing it with the short-term vacation rental battle probably 15 years ago. So how do we go about reducing the cost of housing? And
from the ground up.
Well, there are really a couple different categories that contribute to unaffordable housing. One of them is financing. The interest rates have a lot to do with the housing industry. If we'd probably be trading 50 more homes a month if our interest rate dropped to 5% right now, or 4.5% or 5%. So that alone is a big factor. And part of it it's not just the fact that buyers can't afford to come up with enough down payment to cover a more expensive home, because they have to qualify for a larger mortgage payment. But sellers are locked in, a lot of them, with low interest rates, and they don't want to trade a low interest rate for a high interest rate. So it's a complex reason, but it's a reason. But I don't know if we're going to change our financial infrastructure in any meaningful way unless if we had, one way might be to allow or promote more land lease sales where you would qualify for the mortgage for the house, but you don't have to qualify for a mortgage for the land. You just pay a monthly rent. That would be one way, but
not everyone's going to go for that. But for the people who will, that is a way to get in a house.
But that would be an example. But the avenues that most people think of to reduce the cost of housing is to reduce the cost of land or reduce the cost of construction. And neither of those are very promising either. Reducing the cost of land, I just don't see that happening because they're not making any more of it.
No.
And as we progress, we've already built upon all the good, high-quality upland. That's just all contiguous upland. So now we're in the stage where the land that's available, the vacant land that's available, has quite a bit of lowland, or
it's less desirable.
The upland is kind of clustered around. It's just you
have to be more creative when you develop it.
And you have to mitigate more. You have to mitigate.
It's more expensive to build on. And I mean, that's what it comes down to when you're talking about the uplands and the lowlands and maybe wetland that you can't build on, but you still have to buy it. And then you have to mitigate and protect. So yeah, you're still, the developer might be paying for 20 acres and only 5 of them are buildable, but they still bought 20 acres of land.
Yeah, and then they have to mitigate at least in some degree, because they usually have to build some bridges from one upland area to another, and then it's just clustered. You end up with, you may have 40-foot or 50-foot lots, but the overall density of the project might be less than 1 unit per acre.
Right.
Because there's so much on land that's unavailable for development. That's a good. I mean,
Yeah, that's not a
that's
criticism on like how the land use is. It's just a fact of matter.
mhm.
And there's governmental fees associated with land
You know that
development.
it's a $90-something thousand for every new home now
Governmental fees.
government,
Hmm.
the cost of government.
Yes,
So
I'm very much aware.
the time required to move vacant land to become a permitted parcel just continues to expand and get longer, and that extends the development time, and it increases the cost of battling extended uh, resistance from
Hmm.
the government and legal challenges from residents,
Yes. Yep.
whether they're nearby residents or not.
Yeah, sometimes they just, it was like when I remember some of the school board issues that popped up a couple years ago, and they had groups from moms and I'm sure dads too, or actually maybe not even parents coming from other counties just to like yell at our school board and yell at our kids.
Hmm
And they do the same thing with development.
and people from the beach side will come to city
Hmm.
council meetings and
Yeah.
Bumpco City Council
They
meetings.
say, please state where you live. And they just go, oh, right.
But reducing the cost of construction, how do you do that? Well, it's unlikely that material costs are going to go down.
Right. Especially when it's the geopolitical issues. Like you said earlier, we've got oil prices on the rise. Like as soon as something changes, like, okay, tariffs change, but then, oh, oil is a problem now. Well, oil affects literally everything because things still have to get from point A to point B. And then with materials on top of the transportation of them, which is obviously costly because majority of them are gigantic, you have cost of labor, insurance,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like the vehicles and all the insurance on the vehicles that it takes to get the crews to places. And those are just some of like the minor, like quick overhead costs.
So where are the areas that we can reduce the cost of construction? And a lot of it comes down to time, reduce the timeline of
Yes.
construction, and reduce the labor intensity of basically we're on-site construction, which is the way we've been building houses for a couple hundred years.
Yeah, construction in and of itself is dangerous, and insurance companies know it.
And construction, we've made some inroads. Like most homes built in this area right now use roof trusses, and
Yes.
the trusses are manufactured in a assembly line factory kind of environment and transported to the site. And there are new homes being built where I live, and I actually was watching. It's a D.R. Horton project, and I watched. They had a crane lifting roof trusses, and they were lifting one roof truss every 90 seconds.
Yeah.
They had a new truss up on the roof. That's a lot faster than building the trusses on site.
It sure is, and that is a fast way to do it. The slowdown comes in scheduling that crane to get there, and scheduling the inspector to get there,
And
with whether any reinspection that's necessary. If there's any change in reality to your plans, and then you have to get a plan revision done before you can move on at all. Then you have any weather delays. Obviously, those are huge.
Well, if you shorten the time of construction, you minimize risk. You minimize the chance of weather-related problems and exposure of the materials to weather until you get dried in. So but some of the ways that some of the construction methods that are being used today, and they're beyond experimental, but they're still
Not quite popular.
They're not quite popular.
They're not at the popular girls' table.
But, one of them is a 3D printing of houses.
Yes.
And that's probably something that is ultimately going to catch on more and more, particularly in a production environment, because you have to move the 3D printer and put it in place. And if you just have to move it to the lot next door, that's a lot less expensive than having to ship
go
it
across
to the
town.
neighboring town or something like that. Another way is to do more and more prefab unit
Yeah.
in a factory environment. Now, you know, we're getting our cabinets built
Hmm.
in a factory environment. Windows and doors come pre-manufactured and
Yep.
pre-hung, so they get inserted. But the next step will include interior and exterior wall panels, and they'll come
Yeah.
eventually at some point where they're pre-wired and maybe even pre-plumbed, or at least plumbing channels pre-cut.
Yeah.
But the biggest barrier they're going to have to overcome, or our industry is going to have to overcome, is the local regulations, codes. You know, we have a standard building code in the
Hmm.
state of Florida, but
And it's superior to all other states
it's a darn good one. But we still have architectural requirements and other
and locals.
subcodes,
Yeah. Each
local
local
ordinances.
municipality can put in their own codes as well.
So that's going to be an ongoing problem, and I don't really see
That would definitely stop the
an easy
streamlining of
solution.
processes.
So we're running out of time.
Again.
Again, next week we're going to have a really exciting show about real estate fraud, talking
Ooh.
about some actual local frauds and people who are familiar with the details of those frauds. So be sure to tune in next week. You want to wrap things up for us?
Video podcasts of Real Estate Matters are available on gotoby.com. Click on podcasts on the top navigation bar. Show notes are included so you can see what we didn't get to on the show. Also on gotoby.com, the Flagler County interactive map of residential developments and subdivisions updated regularly. And if you have a question or a suggestion for Real Estate Matters or gotoby.com,
Give me a call. I answer my phone, 386-931-7124, or you can email me at toby@gotoby.com. Thanks for being with us. See you next week. I'm Toby Tobin, and I approve this show.